Welcome back to the GSTL. We are in the semi-finals, Slayers against TSL, and right now, Coca has already taken out Polt. We've already seen the deaths of Polt, Symbol, and Shine. Things are looking grim. If Inori cannot pull things back here, they're only going to have one player left.
The choice to use Inori in this match is, on one hand, very understandable, on the other hand, very, very odd. To elaborate a little bit on this, Koga has a great win ratio against Protoss. It is actually his best matchup. He has a 68% win ratio, which is just so good. Inori, on the other hand, is really struggling in this matchup in general. He lost a lot of matches against Zerg just recently, but he was able to defeat Koga not too long ago with 2-1. So they know each other. They have a history. He knows his style. And if he has his number here, then he might be able to win this game. So the coach has a lot of faith into Inori's ability to defeat Koka once again.
Yeah, and you know, there's just TSL is a small team. There are very few players left in general here. So using Inori is just, I mean, he's a top-notch player. There's very few other choices for him to make at this time. At least all of them are hard choices, that's for sure. We'll see if Inori can take out this Zerg, take out Koka at the GSTL. Let's jump into the game.
A GSTL semi-final, and we are in the 6th match, and to the bottom left of the map we have the TSL player. The team is down.
TSL Inori!
He's the one who wants to tie the score again. He was able to win at the TSL 4 qualifier against Koka with 2-1. It was a very close win in general. His matchup against Zerg is not the most stable one. He's a very good player nonetheless, and he's facing now a very tough opponent. To the top right of Cloud Kingdom, starting for the Slayers team here once more, is the Zerg player called
Slayers Koka!
Inori is actually, you know, of course, from Team Epic, so this guy is coming from a ZenX background. They both are playing on their second teams here, and I feel like they both have made kind of more of a splash on their newer teams. It was good to see when you make a team shift, how it goes. Slaying in the process, please wait for your turn.
Please wait your turn.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah, he might be right about it. We'll find out. The TSL team, of course, with a lot of great players, but their big names are already out of the equation. Symbol and Pole. Definitely the two fan-favorite players in the lineup, and they have lost their matches. Pole lost to Koka, and Symbol was defeated by Brown. Right now we have Koka starting with the gases expand, of course. He currently has his full building and will send out one of his drones very soon to take another hatch. While Inori is not wasting any time here, is going straight for the expansion, starting off with the Nexus first on Cloud Kingdom.
He's being really annoying with that probe as well. Just forces the pull before hatch. Now he's just going to try to force him to go to that third base, and he really doesn't want to. Does not seem willing, actually, to go to that third base expansion. Koka really trying to kill this probe. He was probably going to pylon block here. Nope, decides not to.
No, he decides to save the probe, and he wants to sneak into the main base once more to check out if there is already a gas. Knows exactly what the timings are going to be here. Very important for him to know right now. And now the wall off closing with the gateway. The fort is already on its way. That's going to be a tough match, and I don't know, it's going to... The coach had two choices, Inori or Hyun, in my opinion. Those were the two. Hyun, of course, in a ZVZ. ZVZ is actually Koka's worst matchup, so it could have been Hyun, but still, you always take a little bit of a gamble if you go for a mirror match.
That's true, and if he loses this one, then Hyun can come out and CVZ him as well. It's a tough position for TSL right now, and Koka is going to feel pretty comfortable here, knowing that he's like, well, this is a pretty good matchup for me, you know? I'm going to be quite comfortable here.
We've seen a lot of players stepping up in the booth, though, especially in GSTL. Bjal comes to mind. The Fnatic player was able to perform really well against Incredible Miracle.
Yeah. You know, Symbol, he was doing well outside of the team league, but he really stepped it up in the booth as well as Koka.
Well, That is quite the statistic.
Yeah.
The snipe ratio for Protoss. This is basically Inori's personal snipe ratio.
Yes. And he's like, I killed 2 of them. I'll do it again. They can't catch me. Well, the scary thing though is, even if you kill Koka, there's still a puzzle to solve, and there's more than that.
The puzzle to solve and an evil genius to outsmart.
Yep. There's 3 Processes left, man. They could throw out at him.
We have Inori now starting with the Stargate build on this map. Stargate builds, I personally have always been... I have a little bit of a weird feeling in my stomach when I see a Stargate building, because not because it can't be a very, very strong attack, but I feel that most of the builds that revolve around the Stargate opening have been kind of figured out. Doesn't mean that it can't be successful, and it's of course, if it's well executed, a solid build and can do a lot of damage. But I feel like most Zerg players have by now figured out how to approach this build, how to work against it, and they probably feel really comfortable when they see, okay, he's starting with the Stargate. It's, I feel, much less dangerous and much less threatening than, for example, if you start with some kind of robo, and there's always the danger of you being attacked by an immortal push. Of course, you have blink stalkers as well. I don't know. What do you think about the opening with Stargate here?
I actually think that Stargate builds are not done well enough. Like you said, the Zerg is known for it. It feels like a little bit of a... the Zerg players know how to deal with it. It feels like a little bit of a gamble when you do it. And so many times I watch a Stargate build being executed, and I see him like go, does he think he's going to get those queens? He loses the Void Ray and like a Phoenix and doesn't kill the queen because there's a transfuse, and I'm just sitting there going, all right, well, this was a failure. And sometimes it works really well. It seems, though, that if the Zerg is ready, you just basically cannot accomplish what you wanted to accomplish. And if the Zerg's not ready, you still might not. Your execution has to be perfect. So I think it's a good build, but I think people are not using it 100% correctly. This Stalker gets trapped, trying to do some sick dance moves to get up. Oh, my God.
Is not getting away. There is already speed. Was really nice, a good effort, but in the end it is not enough. He has to cancel the 3rd base. This is horrible now. The Stargate was immediately spotted, and currently Inori doesn't try to actually build anything in the Stargate. The first thing that happened as soon as the Stargate was completed, it was an Overlord, got into range, spotted it. Inori trying into faking him out a little bit now, but he had to cancel the expansion and is going for a gateway transition with robotics. So if Koka defends against this push, he will be in a great position, and we don't have +1 attack.
No +1. This is actually... This is starting to look bad.
The one single Void Ray that he actually built is on the map. There was no follow-up with Phoenixes, as I pointed out already. So with a few kills, few drone kills, 1-2 Overlords, that's all that he accomplished so far. +1 has been started. But, well, Koka is looking strong here.
Yeah, man. His opponent doesn't even have +1. He's going for robotic support bay, which everybody already knew once they saw no Phoenixes. Everybody at home was sitting there going, all right, going for a Colossus push on 2 base. He canceled his Nexus. What is he going to do? Probably going to be Colossi, and that's what we're going to see here. But he's not going to have very many upgrades, and the timing for this is going to be a little bit odd. Hydralisk Den on the way, though. So it's almost as if he expects a gateway push, but with the Hydralisk Den, it's not going to be very helpful against the Colossi.
I'm actually a little bit surprised that we don't see an Overseer scouting the main base. There's an Overseer morphing. The question is, where is it? To the top left? No, I don't think it's actually in the vicinity of the Protoss player's base.
I'll find it, don't worry. I'm on the mission. Alright, it's in the main base. He's going to send it now, though.
Yeah, he sends it now, but the Hydra Den is already completed.
Oh, he wants to kill the Observer that's allowing the Void Ray to kill the Tumors, actually, it seems. He doesn't have any Overlords on the map near the base because the Void Ray was out. So that's one thing this Void Ray was able to accomplish, is to deny scouting and killing these Tumors. He has no way of dealing with this Void Ray right now, actually.
Koka might be misreading the situation here. This Colossus timing could do a lot more damage than we expected, because he does not prepare anything at all.
Yeah, he's no Spire. Depends on how many Hydralisks he decides to make as to whether or not it's going to be effective. Okay, drop is on the way first. This is an interesting way to deal with this. Certainly can't really put the pressure on. Oh, he's going to have to cancel this. And, you know, he may have planned on canceling this in the beginning, but the Void Ray becomes more and more useful in situations like this.
Well, not against the Hydralisk. They get the range upgrade as well. We have, of course, the Infestation Pit building 69 now 71 harvesters for Koka against 66. He's on 3 bases against 2, but the Colossi are still a mystery to him.
He has hitting those quite well. He's going to show it now.
Extended thermal lance is on its way.
Infestation Pit finishes, again, not going to be very useful against the Colossi.
There's the Spire. Immediately throws down the Spire. Once again, the attempt to force a cancel on the Nexus, but this time Inori is able to defend.
Yeah, he does. And this game is actually not going quite the way I expected. I thought we were going to see him go for a timing attack. Decided to go for the third instead. And the Zerg player is now realizing, okay, you're really desperately defending your third base. You see him, you had to cancel it several times. You see him a little bit on the defensive right now. I'm going to take a fourth, get my Spire going. He's probably going to start Pathogen Glands on a Hive at some point in the near future, but not quite this fast.
The good thing for him is that with the Colossi out and no anti-air units, he will be able to save the third base. He will be on 3 bases. But at the same time, he is not able to really capitalize on the lead that he has in his tech, because the Corruptors will be ready for the fight.
Yeah, he can't attack now.
If he would have attacked with a timing here and just tried to make it happen, he could have at least taken out the 4th, maybe even the 3rd base, depending on how well he got positioned. But now he's just trying to get this 3rd as we talked
this
about,
pesky Void Ray finally goes down, which means he can finally hold the Watchtower. He can move out on the map with his units without worrying. That was a pretty significant little hit there. The Void Ray with about 12 kills or so.
The Harvester count is dead even, by the way. Really even Harvesters. Here come the Corruptors now. Blink is already being researched. Double upgrades, though, for Koka. The supply is, as you can see, in favor of the Zerg player, the Slayers player. 112 army supply against 80.
Zergling's trying to run by. He's trying to do whatever he can with these units to make sure that a Pro stays in his base while he's doing everything else. He's got the Corruptors on the way, Pathogen Glands. He'll start a Hive fairly soon, but he wants to get a little bit more gas, wants to make sure he can hold this attack. He's not going to try to get the Greater Spire while his opponent's attacking him.
The job is also done. He's going for the Overlord speed. And there's the Hive tech. Plus a 2 attack now being researched for Inori. And both of them playing this really cautious. Really waiting to find an opening here. And here we have Inori moving out. Where are the Corruptors? There they are. Corruption not being used just yet. He's trying to focus on these Colossi. He does not use Corruption at all, actually.
And does not focus the Colossi either. Nice micro by Inori.
There it is in the last second using Corruption, but at the same time, Koka already dropped down in supply, and that is a lot of Blink Stalkers. Inori blinking back, and the TSL bench is actually celebrating already. They really love how this fight turned out. This was not the best engagement for Koka, not at all.
No, it was not. He should have targeted better, should have used that Corruption, as you mentioned. When you have Corruptors, you got to spam that on every single unit that's on the ground that is in your range. Because
at least the Colossi, you need to spam it on the Colossi and immediately go for a shift right click and make sure that they are targeted down as fast as possible. And this is a great position now for Inori to be in. He can use the high ground to his advantage. He can just make sure that from here on there is no mining going on at Koka's 4th base. And this is a bit troublesome for the Slayer Zerg.
Yeah, he cannot mine here. Things are getting worse and worse as this Protoss army is making a forward pylon. He's going to be able to warp in units directly at this base. He knows there's no potential for a run by. He's got such a nice defense set up back at home. This may be the end for Koka if he doesn't engage this perfectly. His Corruptor count right now down to 2. He's making a 3rd one right now. That's not enough for these Colossi. And look at this. He already sees the Lings coming since he had the Watchtower with that Stalker. And this means that he can put his Colossi back at home, set up a defense, get his wall in finished up.
Koka has once again a lead in supply. He has to be careful how he's going to approach this, though. His 4th base is definitely hard pressed, and he moves in. He tries to fungal here, and he uses those fungals. Tries to save the investors. The Lings are moving in right now. We have only a few Corruptors here trying to shut down this one Colossi that does a lot of damage, but they're not able to. And now suddenly Koka can only rely on his few infestors that he has. He's still in a supply lead, and he throws back Inori. Inori is not, he has not done this just yet. There's still a good chance that Koka is able to overwhelm him. He has the better economy. He has good upgrades. He's on 2-2 researching the +3 attack upgrade.
Yeah, he's going to get ahead in upgrades even further with the +3. No +3 for Inori, surprisingly. So even though he has the resources to buy it, there it is.
He actually has only the +1 armor upgrade. I thought he already researched the 2nd one, but apparently he didn't.
Well, at this point, he is starting to take out some of these harvesters, and he's forcing lost mining time here again. I'm a little bit surprised we don't see a base at the bottom right, for example, for Coca, or at least at the right side of the map, because the Protoss is so focused on this one location right now. This is why you oftentimes see players take this base and the base on the right, so if this happens, they can just send all the drones to the right side.
Still ahead in supply. The Zerg player has decent lead.
He's got that Queen alive as well. He continues to hit the injects on this base. Looks like he's going to try to go for the attack. Now remember, he has drops. He's sending his Overlords with this.
He's
I just threw some extra damage at the back, but I'm not sure if he has enough.
He's trying to fungal once again, but are there enough units to deal damage, to do the DPS? He's going for the Infested Terrans as support, but he does not really have a lot of roaches here. Only 3 left, 6 Hydralisks. That's not going to be enough. The Zergling's trying to go in now, being built. Another set of roaches being built, but yeah,
the Colossus.
Nice. That was good. Killing the Colossus is very important.
He got that most forward pylon, so that means the reinforcements are going to be a little bit further away, and now he can remine.
And Inori has the big problem that he is on 3 bases only. He's now trying to take the 4th base.
That's really showing. That's the reason why the Zerg has been able to hold on this long. And he's got the creep behind his base, which means no more Stalkers up there that he can't see or know about.
He lost his Colossi. He doesn't have any more. I think he has... No, he doesn't have a single one.
He's making his first one right now. +3 finishing at the exact same time for both these players.
And now there's too much for Coca. With those Infestors that he has, he can make sure that those Stalkers don't blink anywhere. And this is exactly what happens. The Fungals hit home, and immediately the Roaches go in, start the focus fire, and kill unit after unit. This 4th base will never really be able to mine. TSL Inori is down to 102 supply, and this is not looking good for the TSL team.
No, it's not. The Void Ray falls. The Roaches coming through here. The Overlords not only giving vision, tanking damage. All right, he's making Overseers now, 4 of them. I think this game may end. Coca not stopping here.
No, he's trying to push through now. He's trying to take down the gateways here. He even uses his drop ability. 176 supply against 90. Another set of Overlords, Lings, and Roaches being built. And now here comes the drop play. He drops on the other side of the ramp, but he immediately retreats. The Infestors, a few of them are dying. They're just a little bit too many units for his taste.
Yeah. I think that was supposed to be his short little celebration, but...
Yeah, he's like, well, okay, you have a few more units than I thought. Maybe I should head home.
Yeah, he's actually going to lose a lot of Overlords here.
And he's losing a lot of units.
But here come the Infestors. Dropping out Fungals immediately. Baits the Stalkers in, and, well, supply now below 100. He is almost mined out at his natural. Mineral patches reading about 200 to 400 minerals left.
The Colossus, it dies, so do the last few Stalkers. He has 10 left and 1 Zealot. That's all there is to this army. 74 supply against 200. Coca mining from 3 bases. He has 4 in total. Takes down the rocks. Another fungal on the Stalkers. He's trying to make sure that they won't be able to escape. Takes down the wall. He tears everything apart here. Makes his way into his opponent's natural, drops the Infested Terrans. Slayers Coca is going to win against Nori. GG!
TSL down to their last player, and curly-haired Coca, he deserves praise from his team. So far, so good, taking out 2 players, Pult and Inori. Like I said, man, he not only is he good against Terran, but he is a good all-around player. And to be honest, Inori looked a little bit weak in that game. His build order seemed a little bit shaky. He made only the Void Ray, which he did make great use of after his attack was basically canceled. Then he took a weird 3rd base. He had to cancel several times. And things are looking a little bit rough now for TSL. They're going to have 1 player left. And I think it's going to have to be Hyun, man.
Yeah, it has to be Hyun at this point.
Look, where is he now? Where is he now?
I think he's already preparing and setting up his gear. The next player for TSL has to defeat 3 opponents. It's roughly the same situation that we had yesterday. Well, Lino had to play against MVP and was in exactly the same situation. The score was 4-2 and Lino had to defeat 3 opponents. And now TSL finds themselves in exactly the same position.
And they can do it. They can do it. The map is going to be Muspelheim. Now remember, when Symbol came out against IM, against Lucira, we had an epic map on Muspelheim that was back and forth. It was a ZVZ, in fact, as well. And Lucero looked ahead at certain aspects. The engagements he was making were great, but the upgrades were better for Symbol, and he eventually won out that game and then went back to win the entire series. Now, this may happen again, but they don't have Symbol this time. They have Hyun, a similar playstyle in ZVZ, I would say, to Symbol. But is he as good as Symbol, and can he beat the other Protosses that are left on the Slayer's bench?
I think this is actually a lot tougher for whoever is coming out last than it was yesterday for Linux.
I would say so as well.
Because you still have Puzzle on the bench, you have JYP on the bench, a lot of players that are actually good against Zerg. You have, of course, Crank too. And now here we go to the top left. It is Hyun. Yeah. And there he is.
Hyun comes out.
We expected him first. We expected him against Koka. It was Inori who tried his luck. He lost. And now it's the last player for TSL. The last man standing. It is TSL Hyun.
You mentioned the difference between this and Lenok's situation yesterday. I feel like the difference is that Lenok is the star. He is like the symbol of FXO, whereas Hyun is kind of a support TSL player. Yeah, he's really good, but Koka's going to eat some donuts before he plays against him, man. That's how he's feeling right now.
Jessica looked actually more like, no, you're not having a donut now. You get one after you play.
That is kind of what she looked like there.
Oh my god, I would not want to trade with Hyun now.
Hyun looks so cool, man, when he puts his keyboard in like this. He's just like, he holds his chord. Look, you know what's coming out about Hyun? Have you noticed that the darker his hair gets, the stronger he becomes? What? Have you noticed that when he first joined StarCraft 2, his hair was a lot lighter, and as his natural darker hair starts to leak through, he looks better and better in the team league every time, as well as at the individual league? There is a correlation, man. It has to be. Well, he's breaking back out with his roots, man.
If there is one person out there that would know, it's you, so...
I started to notice this about him.
Alright.
Koka, on the other hand, hiding from the camera here a little bit. What's he going to do?
We have one of the tech guys running towards Hyun's booth.
We need to talk to JYP really quick.
What's Salah doing there?
I don't know.
Telling him exactly what to play. He can actually do whatever he wants here. He can play a little bit cheesy, starting with an early pool. That's definitely something that wouldn't put past him. Here we have the TSL bench, and if you look at the coach in the middle of the picture, you can actually see that he is not too happy about how things turned out today.
No.
And right now, Slayers is in a great position to actually win this semifinal and advance to face FXO.
They are indeed, and I'm feeling like Slayers they're eating donuts, they're cheering, the TSL bench is looking very serious, and for this reason I know that during that game when things looked bad, they were talking to Hyun, all the Zergs, this is a Zerg team. They're all sitting there talking to Hyun, saying, alright, this is the build I think you need to use against this guy. I played him on the ladder, I'm familiar with him, I used to train with him for this build, this tournament or this match, and this is what I think you should do. And Sela, on the other hand as well, is great at ZVZ strategy. I think it's the one matchup that he actually really knows really well to kind of give advice or ideas. That's what he studies really well. And you saw him come and talk to Sela just before the match. And I think he's probably getting, some insights from him and some of the... Why are you laughing? I don't understand.
Because the last time that I watched Sela play at a tournament at one of the qualifiers, I asked him what he's going to do in the Zerg versus Zerg, and he's like, 6 blue.
Yeah, he didn't care, man.
So I would love to see Koka now just using the 6 pool. That would be so funny.
I remember when...
But you are right. I didn't want to take that away. Sela is actually really good at strategies. And
I remember when he one time told me about when Idra was in Code recently. Well, not that recently, but a few months ago. He told me that he had planned a very specific build for Idra, and the way he explained it to me, I was like, wow, you really know ZVZ and how his opponent is going to play and what to predict. And I remember just the way he explained to me, I was like, well, I would want to talk to Sel about ZVZ if I was about to play one.
Oh yeah, and Koka definitely needs some advice here. We talked about it earlier. Hey, it's actually his weakest matchup, historically speaking, and Hyun is in good shape against Zerg now. But
yeah, took out 2 in Code recently.
I'm not so much worried about the match against Koka. It's going to be tough for Hyun, but he can pull it off. At the same time, I feel a little bit more concerned about who he's going to face next.
Yeah, like Puzzle, for example.
There's so many good players on the bench for Slayers, and if I was Slayers right now, I would definitely prepare at least 1 or 2 of my players and tell them, okay, you go for an all-in. Because if you just play if you play a straight-up game every single time, you get a little bit too predictable. So kind of freak him out a little bit. Try to just pull something off. You're so far ahead. If you just play it straight and then you lose 3 straight-up games, you will always regret that you didn't take a coin flip or a shot at one of the games.
You know, I think that we may see someone like JYP come out and try to do a Sentry Drop or Warp Prism, Immortal Timing Attack against him after this. Something we could see. We could see Crank play a straight-up game against him as well. And there's always Puzzle. He's still there and he's ready.
You know how you have this scenario when you have a winners and a losers bracket and they finally face each other. You have to win like 2 best-of-3s or 2 best-of-5s. We actually had this situation in Warcraft 3 when I was the manager for 4 Kings, and we had to face MTW in one of the most prestigious leagues that we had. And every single time in the first match we lost by a small margin. But every single time we went for a very, very safe lineup, for like a standard lineup, and we made ourselves too predictable. And after we did it, we were just sitting together and we were like, why did we do that? Why didn't we just take a shot in the first team war? Taking a few risks. If it fails, we still have the option of actually going standard in the second game. And we have fell back off because MTW stated, yeah, we actually expected them to do this. This is the logical thing to do, and they were right about it. If I would have been the MTW coach, I would have made the same prediction. But for us, it was just in hindsight. We talked to each other. We were like, might not have been the best choice. It was a safe choice, but maybe we should have just taken a small risk. So them just using either Coca or the next player to go for some kind of coin flip strategy, that would be a smart thing, I think.
I think so too. You know, when you take a risk, you do an all-in or you do a cheese strategy, things can really pay off. This is a 2-player map that we're about to see. If we see an early pool from either of these players, it would not surprise me on a map like this. It's not a small map, but the distance is reasonable for an early pool type strategy. That's something you can do on this map.
You can play a 10 pool here and just, yeah.
I think we'll probably see that actually from one of these 2 players. Well, it looks like his settings are not complete. That's what it says in the chat here. He hasn't finished setting up his stuff. So as soon as he is ready, talking about our TSL player, as soon as Hyun's ready setting it up, then we will get into it. As you can see, like, he wasn't set up. He was even plugging in his keyboard for the first time right when he was selected. So he just needs a little bit more time. So we have 3 Protosses on the bench. We've got Crank, we have Puzzle, and we have JYP. We don't really have any Terrans left.
We have a few Zergs still. We have Mia, for example.
Mia could come out. But that's the thing. Against someone who's been practicing for ZVZ exclusively, it's just not something you're likely going to want to do.
I would not really expect Mia to come out on either one of these maps. The 2 maps that are left are Atlantis Spaceship and Whirlwind.
The big maps.
Exactly, the big maps. And you can definitely start to use with... You can go with the Protoss, can go for timing here, can try to play a straight-up game. And we have 2 very, very strong Protoss players at that, especially JYP's performance against Zerg has been great in the past. So that's something that we might see here. And he's ready.
Yeah. Well, everything is ready except his settings, so...
Puzzle played yesterday at the tournament, the online tournament that I cast against Moon, and took him down... no, sorry, actually, I'm completely mistaken. I didn't play against Moon, he played a completely different game. So forget what I just said.
Okay. I'm like,
I mixed things up. No. He actually played against Dimaga and won all 3 games, so he defeated him with 3-0. But Dimaga has a very different style, and I felt like Puzzle completely had his number. So he played against Zerg yesterday, and well, yeah. It's not really comparable to how Hyun plays. Not at all. Dimaga has a very, very specific style against Protoss. He relies on Ling Banelings against nearly every composition that a Protoss player can use. Very rarely builds Roaches, occasionally just to mix things up, but still Dimaga's style is very unique in this way.
I think Hyun is really known for Mutalisk in this matchup. I think we may see that out of him. He and Moon, I feel like Moon and Hyun actually have the most similar styles in ZVP. If I had to pick like a player to put them together with, I would say they both really like Muta as well. They like to go heavy on the Mutas. They're the type of player who wants to harass so much of the Mutas that they force the base trade and then win it. I've seen so many Protoss versus Zergs with Moon and Hyun where they base race with Mutas and win. That seems to be the way to go. That's actually been kind of the way that TSL Zerg's played this matchup since the beginning. I remember Revival. Almost every single time I've cast Revival against a Protoss, he even beat Genius with this using Mutalisk in a base trade. I've seen it so many times out of these Zergs from TSL, so I would not be surprised to see that type of style here. And on the same note, though, that may make him, I don't know why I'm actually talking about this. I mean, I'm talking about this like for a potential if he beats this player, but for ZVZ, I want to talk about this a little bit more because what about the early pool? How will he affect? Will he be expecting an early pool? This is actually just the most stressful position being as the last player in a mirror matchup. What if he 6 pools me and pulls his drones? I got to be careful.
Well,
I don't think we're going to see a hatch first.
If you're going to take a gamble, you can either start with an early pool or with a hatch first. It always depends on what exactly your opponent starts to do. If you start with a 10 pool and your opponent opens with a hatch first, you're in a great position to take down a lot of his economy. On the other hand, if your opponent starts with a normal 14 pool, then you might be able to do some damage depending on how things go, but you should be able to defend with his Zerglings that he has, and of course with the drones as well. With the opening in ZVZ, you always take a little bit of a gamble.
Yeah. I think...
But if you build, for example, the fetch first and your opponent starts with the pool, you have a slight advantage already, so it's just how it works out. Of course, the next step then, if you reach the mid-game, is what happens after you reach your lair tech. What are you going to do? Are you going for an infestation bit? Do you start with the Mutalisk? Are you solely relying on roaches and adding the infestation bit a little bit later?
Also, in this matchup, when is the speed finish? How does that affect things? Are the queens in position? Are you going to get some scouting information because you had speed faster? Are you going to kill some drones because you had speed faster? The gas timing is important as well here. And Hyun's still not 100% ready yet, hasn't joined the lobby. Koka having to sit here a little bit patiently.
TSL coaches are just sitting on the bench now, and you can really... They are cheering, they're really cheering for Hyun now, and they're just sitting there like praying and hoping that everything will go their way. They really want to go to Busan. They want to prove themselves, the entire team. It's an awesome team, a very young team though.
I just saw Hyun do that same motion he did with his fist. He looks ready, confident, guaranteed that he's obviously got a little bit of nerves going through this, but he's not shaken.
It was Symbol. Symbol was just in the booth. I had a quick look, and yeah, Symbol was in there, and just a few last words to Hyun before the match starts, cheering on his teammate. And this is one of the strategies, not strategies, one of the strengths of this team. They are really, really close.
Indeed. He still hasn't joined the lobby just yet. He's still trying to get all the settings up. I mean, he is really preparing himself, I suppose, for this match, leaving nothing to chance.
Yeah, Scylla also just came back, and Slayers was not too happy with the performance in the last GSTL. They really expected a lot more, and Jessica was one of the few coaches that stated at the beginning of the season that they really want to go to the finals. They want to go all the way. They were not happy with how they left things in the last season. So they are here at the semifinals, and they are in a great position to actually claim the semifinal, to advance and to face FXO. She said it earlier in the interview too, and definitely something that they can do here. And a very ambitious team. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to see what strategies we're going to see these players do.
The openings are definitely going to be what it comes down to. Will they both play safe, or is someone trying to cut a few corners here, or trying to take the initiative?
Like, I feel like Hyun has to go for like a 14 pool. I think he just has to. Like, if I'm Hyun, I have to do that. If I go hatch first and I just get killed, it's like, well, that's how it ends. But the difference in going hatch first, the difference between going hatch first and going pool first is not significant enough to where I would want to risk possibly losing to an early pool.
Do you remember Moon, what he did in the team match? Something like this can actually be ingenious. If Hyun goes for an early pool, that is something most people would not expect here. But well, we'll find out in just a few seconds. TSL against Slayers here at the GSTL.